are about to start game 2 of the OCS Finals 2020 between Paul Myers, who is the dark side Imperial Entanglements player at the top of your screen, and Justin Desai, who is the light side HITCO player at the bottom of your screen. This match is being played in the pre-V13 era. V13 just came out on Jump yesterday, but the players agreed to, last week to do their finals without any of the new cards if the new cards did come out before their match. So this is before any of the new HITCO helpers or anything like that.
Interestingly, I think that even if there was the new HITCO helper out, that Justin's probably pretty happy that he has and must be allowed to speak instead of the new Twilight effect, because when you're facing a deck based on Tatooine, it's always nice to get the use pile pulls.
That's a good point, and I think Justin's happy to see a Tatooine-based deck. I think Eric made a comment after their match that was like, he'd played Legend against Paul, and he's like, I don't know why I didn't just play a deck with I Must Be Allowed to Speak. The only decks Paul plays are all Tatooine based, whether it's Entanglements, Watto, or Court. All three of them are Tatooine based, and so if Justin realized the same thing, he might have said, I'm just going to play a deck with Imbats, and
Yep, so we see Paul starting off his turn with a pretty standard Entanglement start. He's grabbed Pia and Ozzel with Indoor Shield. Ozzel goes to the Devastator to provide some extra forfeit fodder. And we see that Pia is on a ATSC that was pulled with Battle Deployment. Justin did just play Wisagata Grand Army, so he can get his boss Nass's Chamber, so we know that Justin will at least hit his 2-0 next turn. Not that activation is normally much of a concern versus Entanglements.
Yep. And Paul is going safe there, Piet pulling that Battle Deployment. He wants to start getting his vehicles early. At some point, it's very likely that General Leia, he could have Leia Rebel Princess or something like that, but it's very likely General Leia could come down and suspend that. So if he can get a couple turns of pulling vehicles out of that before it's suspended, that would be nice.
We see Piet obviously just staying at the docking bay. He'll control the docking bay, so he gets a couple extra activation from mobilization points.
One thing to mention, this is game 2. In game 1, Justin Desai won by 10 force. So Paul is looking to win by 11 or more, and Justin is looking just to not lose by 10.
Which, really any dark deck can probably manage winning by, 11. That's not an impossible number. And so it makes sense that Paul would go with Entanglement, since that's the deck that he's very comfortable with.
Yeah, one potential problem with that for Entanglements is Entanglements puts a lot on table, and as we saw last game,
Hey Joe, sorry, our screen went blank.
Yeah, hang on, let me figure out why that is.
For those who are listening to it as audio commentary instead of visual, nothing has changed right now. Justin just deployed his boss house chambers, and he checked to try to deploy his farm. I Must Be Allowed to Speak, and missed on his deploy. Paul's response to that on the verify is double clash A. So obviously he saw 2 Clash of Sabers when Justin just went to go verify. Clearly Justin probably wasn't anticipating Entanglements. Clash of Sabers obviously doing very little against a vehicle-based deck.
Right.
Great. Glad you see now.
What are some of the other decks Paul played this? He played Watto. Clash is obviously real good against Watto. If you clash Watto, and then you can beat up on everyone else at the junkyard.
Yep. Clash is obviously solid against. I've seen Paul play ISB, so that is like his one non-Tatooine list. Clash can obviously be pretty good against Tatooine or against ISB if you exclude the right guys.
Yeah. And it's real good against Court as well, another good one. And it's not awful against Entanglements if they do have, like a EPP Mara or Vader or someone outside a vehicle. I think
I don't know if
useful.
If it matters or not, but our faces aren't on the screen.
I know my
no worries about it.
I can get your face. My webcam's not working. Let me. I just wasn't messing with that yet while I was trying to get this.
Of course,
game going.
So we see Justin just drawing up to 14 cards. Obviously not respecting or anticipating a Monarch out of Entanglements. And Justin playing Rescue in the Clouds. And that's a pretty quick grab from Paul. He does have something special planned for them, so he does get at least a free grab out of that. There you are, Jeff.
Yeah, all my setup is weird because I'm streaming to the PC site instead of mine, and for whatever reason, Streamlabs just changes all your settings when you log into a different account.
So we see Paul activating 11.
All right. I think so. Trying to anticipate this match, what we're looking for, I think Justin's going to be looking to get in some battles and just aggressive. He's going to want to be aggressive, getting in drains while he can at the drain 2 locations. Watto's Junkyard, if that's in there, the Desert Heart, using Luke's Saber to add one. And then he's going to want to be battling with General Leia out and retrieving, potentially retrieving with his objective if Mara, Vader, Emperor are not out. And grinding Paul down in terms of overall differential. The more cards he can make him lose, the easier, since Entanglements has to just deploy so much, the easier it will be to get him below 10.
And obviously Justin's accelerated, or is obviously incentivized to try to go kind of fast because his gameplay gets accelerated by, I must be allowed to speak. Like the fact that you don't lose any momentum by deploying a large character, you know, you're incentivized to do it early. Really
right, absolutely. He can grab,
justified.
he can drop Luke and use that to grab Leia, and use Leia to grab Chewie, and and get out a bunch of good stuff.
Not losing any tempo when you play guys.
I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Chewie grabbing a perimeter scan to cancel trample, that sort of thing, getting those key cards.
One interesting question that we don't know is that when Paul verified Justin, did he see any space in his deck? And obviously that kind of changes your calculation a little bit. If he sees no space, then he can feel pretty safe just up there. You know, you have to respect maybe a ship in his opening hand.
Right.
And then really concentrate on ground.
That's a good question. That verify is definitely nice to see. Then you also see if there's stuff like sense. We didn't see it immediately. There is no tri-shield pulled or anything to know if he's going to sense your reacts, things like that. So getting a verify is pretty big here.
It is big. And obviously you have to be a little careful because, I mean, there's still 14 cards that you don't know. And then obviously, I'm sure Justin, of course, wanted to hit that farm pull, not to get the verify, but also getting that farm gives you another Tatooine site out. And more Tatooine sites gives you an opportunity to flip Paul back.
Correct, yeah. The Kieran is wondering if maybe he has an under attack in there because it's really strong versus the ATSTs. And,
yeah.
I think if you're Justin, you're looking to save your grabber for like Tarkin's orders, because having that cancel your drains would be annoying.
Yeah, or command if he's on, Skywalkers and wants to draw a lot of extra distance.
Yeah, assuming you have the General Leia to stop the battle deployment. If he's running Leia Rebel Princess, then the Admiral's order is capping him anyway.
Yeah.
Yep, Justin won game 1 by 10. So
the matchup in game 1 was Justin's ISB versus Paul's HITCO.
Yep, and short summary of it, Justin went to space and a couple sites and was just able to do more damage than Paul was. Paul had no space, paid to drain, and got an early lead in terms of cards deployed, but then Justin eventually overcame it with more damage. So
Paul plays Aerotech Corporation.
Yeah, that's a interesting card, mainly because you're not starting it. So if you start it,
right,
it's decent. You can reveal a ATST or speeder bike to upload a unique pilot of ability lesson 3 from Endor or vice versa, and it's sort of a squadron assignments for ATSTs. And it's not a bad card. It's actually pretty decent, but you're just floating it, and
right,
it's pretty fortunate that Paul found that because it's useful. It's just if you are floating it, a lot of times it's not worth including because you can't count on it.
Yeah. Well, he force pushed, so it's possible that he found out on this force push.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Entanglements is pretty locked into its 3 starting effects. It really can't vary up from IAO, mob points, and Endor Shield.
Yeah. Paul is down to 4 in hand. I'm curious if he deploys another card, flip, and then moves over Piet to flip. Yeah, he is. He's using battle deployment. So this is a problem Entanglements often has, and I talked about this the last time we saw Entanglements. I don't remember who was playing it or what the matchup was, but talked about this the last time maybe it was Brad Kipple. I don't know. But the idea that Entanglements, especially early on, has to deploy so much stuff and use all its resources the first few turns that it ends up just getting down to 3 to 5 cards in hand, and it doesn't have a lot to draw. So then it's kind of done its whole thing. And if Light can respond really well, Dark's in a bad position. If Light can't respond and Dark gets a turn to just do its damage and draw and reload its hand and do what it needs, Dark's happy. But
both reload and also with the objective look at his top.
That'll get him 1 card, but it's hard when you're down to 2 or 3 cards in hand. Right now, Paul's at 3. He does have that occupation though, and he is going to be able to flip.
And he has that stack, so he played Blizzard 4 to get Moff Gideon, which got him another trooper, so that's a fairly decent stack at that site.
All right.
He'll move over the Tempest Scout for free from the docking bay. Gives him 2 reacting ATSTs.
Well, so he's got, but they both cost 1, and he's got 3 force right now. He's got to pay 1 for upkeep, and then he'll probably want to save 2 for the 2 reacts, meaning he's not going to be able to draw any, and he's got 3 in hand.
Whereas Justin will have 12 force with 14 cards in hand. So, a lot of things Justin can do. No, we see Tempest Scout 2 come out for 2 force to the... Interesting.
Okay, so here's his thinking with that. He's going to document transit for free and flip.
Free, right?
Yeah, it reacts free. And so he'll put both just Loslin and Gideon on board because it holds 2 pilots. And then he'll basically say, all right, you're not going to attack my middle site because I have a ton of power there and it's the desert you'd be stuck at. I don't know why he didn't move both pilots. I don't like that. Maybe he's worried about Chewie hitting it. But then they'd still have their forfeit. I don't know. He just put the one pilot on there. Oh, no, there we go. It was just in between the moves. Justin played a leadership.
Justin plays leadership to get General Leia, so we know he'll be suspending that battle order.
Mm-hmm. And now he's going to use that last force for the upkeep on Blizzard 4, and he'll have the free react to either of the exterior sites. Right now, he's threatening 7 damage next turn, drains of 1, 1, 1, 1, and 3 occupation.
But General Leia is pretty strong here.
But again, Paul's down to 2 cards in hand.
2 cards in hand.
But the nice thing is he's set up very strongly that even if Justin comes and clears him off a site, let's say he comes down with a couple guys and he has an Odin combo for the free react and he clears off one of the sites, Paul still does 5 damage, drain 1, 1, 1, and 2 occupation. So it might be hard for Justin to respond to this, especially with only 13 force and the fact that he's going to flip as soon as he deploys Luke, so he won't be able to battle free.
But this is where the I must be allowed to speak is really helpful, because he can dig for whatever answers he thinks he needs.
Right, he can pull...
he has Leia, so if he's Leia and Luke, he can find Skywalkers. He can find the React Canceller, right?
Yeah,
Leia
Odin combo,
Luke,
yep.
React Canceller plus Skywalkers, that's, with all his destinies being +1, because of, like my father before me, really could be powerful. So we see Leia come out here, canceling battle deployment. And we see him go for a use card pull. I mean, Luke here would be 6. It'd still leave him 1 to battle. He could also, he may not even.
If you were, he still has 9, so he'd. If he was gonna do Luke though, why wouldn't you do Luke first so you have more cards to peek at with Imbats? You do Luke first and then Leia. But maybe he didn't have Luke. Maybe he had to Leia into Luke. Maybe that's why he drew up to like 14 cards, is because he's like could not find one of his 5 Lukes. But again, like I mean, now he only has 3 left. He can't afford Chewie or anything, so these guys cover they cover 10 forfeit.
Yep.
They're forfeit +1 also with air attack. So they cover 11 forfeit. They're 6 power. They're covering 17.
Yep.
I don't see that he's going to cause overflow, so he probably clears off this site and then eats 5 next turn, and then hopefully is going to try and flip him back the following turn by pulling the Lars farm. And
Well, he already tried to pull Lars Farm and he failed.
Oh.
Now, it's possible that when he drew his all but one force, he just drew Lars Farm there. So
Right. So I'm guessing if he did that, he's holding that so that he can go down, deploy it, go down to it, and not let Paul go to it first to make it easier to flip him back.
So we see a battle here. We see that Leia doesn't cause retrieval because of come here, you big coward.
I like Paul's position here.
So we see the attempt to react. And we see the Odin combo to cancel the react. Paul's currently down by 5.
Yep. Which Piet alone covers. I mean, if all he kills is...
Jedi concentration and stop lightsabers from being targeted, so Justin just throw him back a use 5.
Yeah. Which, I don't know... I probably would have saved that to...
They're Skywalkers.
Yeah, I probably would have saved the concentration. I mean, obviously Mara is in there and you could say, all right, it could be used for that, but more just to lose to a drain occupation damage next turn.
Kind to agree, but Justin is a man who definitely loves his high destinies.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so let's see here. I mean, if he draws some high destinies from HITCO, there's a 6. And a 5.
Ooh, draw their fire. That would be a good card for Justin to have. He's gonna be battling a lot more than.
So he drew 16 for total destiny. He's up to 28 power.
And they cover 18 in destiny, so they're gonna be losing some.
Yeah, there's some overflow.
Losing 8.
Yep. That's not insignificant. And a stat card when I feel the conflict.
Yeah, so
now, if one of these 2 cards in Paul's hand is get, that would be...
Yeah, he's probably peeling 8 here. That was, I mean, those were great destinies for him. A 5/4/4, which...
I mean, he probably obviously knows how many cards he's
right, I don't think that was a desperation play. It was just a solid play. And Phil points out in the chat that even though Justin might lose 5 next turn to the drains and occupation, it's not that bad because Paul can't battle back with only 2 cards in his hand. So Justin gets the sight here. He should have the farm from drawing it, so he can go guy in front of you, guy to farm, flip you back, or move Leia over to farm, flip you back. So yeah, he'll eat the 5, but Justin's pretty solidly set up and can, since Paul can't do anything with 2 in hand, he's gonna have to flip him back. And Justin
5, he'll drain him for 2. He'll move prophecy, so then he can be set up with the drain 3.
And the fact that Paul drew a 2, so everyone's immune is big. If Paul had drawn like a 4 and Leia had to die, that would have been bad for Justin. You know, having her out, suspending the Admiral's Order, retrieving when you battle is huge. So if a 4 was drawn there, that would have been really bad for Justin. The fact that they were both immune is obviously huge. So Paul is peeling
from his reserve deck.
8 cards here, and the 8 he lost are Justice, Command, Sneak Attack, Virtual, Tarkin's Orders, that's huge, Blizzard, a second Blizzard 4, a Trample, that's huge, an Occupation, and a Tempest Scout 6. So he lost some vehicles, he lost an extra Occupation, which is big because Kieran said that Justin probably has Indoor Celebration combo, and I would agree. I think if you're playing against Paul, you would probably play an Indoor Celebration combo. So if he can cancel that, the fact that he top decked another one is big. The top decking Justice is big if Leia's suspending the Admiral's Order.
Combo here to stop the damage this turn.
Okay, and that gets grabbed. So now I think we'll see an Indoor Celebration at some point.
And even if we don't, to be honest, this is a very good position for Justin.
Right, well, because he'll be able to flip him back, and just flipping him back will stop the occupation damage.
Right. But even without a flip back, I mean, the fact that he got in so much early damage here, and then gets to get his own drain of 2 in, pretty untouched, I guess. And with Paul only 2 cards in hand, and now only 10 force activated, Justin has to feel good about this situation, in particular because Justin clearly has a deck that was not tuned for entanglements. Double clash like we saw. Sorry about the mess non-combo.
I think it will be a mix. I think some of those things might be not tuned, but I think he will have the Indoor Celebration combo. I think he was thinking about it when he thought about the farm card. Like, I think it wasn't sold out to only beat entanglements, but I think he'll have had it in mind. So to the 3 drains of 1/1/1, it looks like he lost Owisa, from hand. Sorry about the mess non-combo from hand. So he's not anticipating guys being out sidewalkers very much. And a Jedi Luke from hand.
We see Paul going to deploy a second docking bay.
I'm sure the docking bay 94.
Yeah, I mean, Paul's hope or idea here would probably have to simply be hope that Justin's foot is off the gas, and that he can't do something similar again.
Yeah,
and that
I don't think he'll be able to in terms of overflow, but I do think he'll be able to flip him back with. Well, if Paul spreads to the other docking bay.
Because the other docking bay is tough.
Yeah. So right here though, Justin is at 31 in reserve and 9 in hand. He's still at 40 even after taking that round of drains. But with 9 in hand and being able to activate 13, he's going to be able to do a lot. Oh, and he'll be able to docking bay transit between there as he needs to block that off. I think, and Paul's only at 3 in hand right now. He did get to do the peek and look at 3 cards and choose one. But already Entanglements, even if we didn't have any overflow this game, Entanglements was going to have a hard time winning by, I think a standard win for them would be, 12-ish. So winning by 10 could be tough. And now that you've peeled 8, I don't think Paul's, after seeing that, Justin's turn 2 is make Paul peel 8. I don't think Paul will win this game, let alone by 10+.
Agreed. I mean, Justin only needs to get in basically, is it 23, 4, 5 more drains? I mean, you get a retrieval of a trooper, but excuse me.
Yeah, Phil says Leia preventing a walker pull from battle deployment is pretty big here too, because that's essentially like an extra card in hand. He does get Aerotech Corporation.
Aerotech Corporation, Tempest Scout 3, and Sergeant Barrack.
Mm-hmm. If she had died again to that attrition, then Paul would get to pull another card. But all right. Well, and now Paul's going to need to save 1 or 2 for reacts and 1 for upkeep. So he's going to get to draw a couple, but he'll still only be at about 4 or 5 cards in hand.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's possible at this point for Paul to create a counterbeat on Luke and Leia. So he's really going to be eating those drains probably.
Greg Shaw says, this finals match is ruining the HITCO narrative. We can't say HITCO was a no-show in pre-13 meta. It's true. HITCO was good. Well, I mean, once you nuked Walkling from Throne Room, HITCO became the mains light side deck, even before getting helpers. So then you add on the fact that... then you add on that it's going to get a bunch of helpers. I mean, HITCO's going to be bonkers. Given the fact that now we know what we know about the HITCO helpers, I just don't think that Walkling errata was necessary. I think if you had left that, then there would actually be a choice of like, whoa, we've got HITCO that just got all these helpers and is really good, and we got Throne Room that gets to go first. Like what, Throne Room was clearly better than HITCO before the errata, but I think the helpers would have brought it up. But when you did the helpers and the Walkling errata, it's like, all right, well, HITCO's the deck.
Also, to be fair, this HITCO is really good right now. Probably as much of the back of MSB allowed to speak, which I guess obviously.
I mean, but Throne Room can use Imbats.
Float that and start that maybe instead of the new Twilight. I'm not sure, or instead of the Walkling, I guess. And then, I mean, in game one wasn't particularly competitive. ISB handled him pretty. There was differential was low because he had to put so many cards to play, but that was a not competitive game. I mean, ISB.
Yeah, in my OCS games, for a couple rounds in a row against Baroni and Taco Bell, and I think Greg Shaw, I just floated Imbats in my Throne Room. Like I didn't even play the farm. It was still just a docking bay Throne Room, but just in case they had like Watto or Court or anything like that, or CCT, I just floated it because it's just for the use pop holes. So I could definitely see HITCO doing that post Twilight.
Really good. I mean, there's no doubt that it's gonna be powerful. It's yet another good light side option.
Yeah. All right, so we see a drain. So Paul drew. Let's see, how many cards did he draw?
Only draw
3.
Drew about a couple. He had 5
3.
cards in hand and just lost Tarkin's Bounty and another Tatooine Occupation from hand.
Yeah, so losing the Tarkin's Bounty makes sense because it's great to get a card from Force Pile, but it's another, when you deploy it, it's essentially like a card lost, and you can't afford to be losing more cards when you need to win by 10. So he says, I can't afford to use that. I'm just going to lose it.
Right. He basically can't lose more cards from Life Force.
Yeah, right now he's at 15 in Life Force and 3 in hand. So he's only at 18. He needs to not lose 8 more cards this whole game.
Apparently it's hard to hear me, Mike says, which is the first time anyone has ever said I'm quiet. But unfortunately, I don't know what's up with my mic. So apologies.
I can turn up your input.
Okay. Thanks. I really don't have much interesting to say anyways. So.
So let's see. This is not enough to flip him back. He's going to have to clear him. Even if he Docking Bay transits in front of someone, that's still only controlling 2 to controlling 2. So he'll have to deploy someone in front of like Mos Espa, Docking Bay transit over Luke, flip him back, and then consolidate to the Docking Bay.
Yeah. Let's see what he does. It might be just as simple as he's just trying to pick up another drain.
Yeah, or pick up another site for the flip back next turn.
Yeah,
but if he does have any other character, that character to Mos Espa, Docking Bay transit Luke, you flip him back, and then you move that character to be with Luke, and then you've got Leia to site, Rey to site, Luke and character to site, or Leia and character to site, whatever. And then he's just draining 1 and 1, and you're...
Yeah, and you're totally fine Leia being alone when Paul only has 16 life force total and 3 cards in hand. It's very unlikely he's going to...
Right, the best he could do would be like Vader, Mara.
So we see the Luke transit, but it's not a flip back, obviously, because Paul still controls the same number of sites.
Yeah.
I wonder...
Just blocking a drain of 1, I guess.
Yeah. Not sure I get exactly what he wants to accomplish with this.
Yeah, I think I would have waited a turn for that if you weren't going to flip it back right now.
Yeah, I would have maybe just not played the Rey and just drawn up to a couple more guys.
Yeah, not the Rey or Saber. Just been like, I'm fine with the drain of 2. I'm going to eat another 4, though. I don't know. Maybe play the Rey in thing, but just leave Luke. Or you just block the drain. You don't think he's going to battle into your Power 8 Immune Lesson 7 Luke with his... He can't react to his own battles, so...
Right. I mean, for threats he might have left, I think you have to respect Veers on Blizzard 2.
And EPP Mara.
And EPP Mara. That's about it.
Vader's not even that scary.
No, Vader's not scary at all. He would just... I mean, against HITCO's average, Destiny being so high, he might just make him...
I mean, Vader, the best part about Vader is flipping back HITCO.
Right. Yeah, we see Justin gets to retrieve a force here. Obviously, Paul is not going to lose. He's not going to stack just to put that out of play.
Yeah. Paul can only lose or deploy 8 more cards. Like, and if it was... I mean, he's going to deploy more than that. And he's got to kill... Justin's at 39 hand in life. Paul has to do 39 damage before 8, and that counts cards he deploys. Like, I think the match is over.
I agree. Justin peels 3 off the top in response to occupation. If we take a Skywalker's and Odin combo from reserve, drain of 1 at Tatooine. Justin loses Obi with lightsaber.
I think Paul's best hope.
Drain of 1 at the desert. He loses Rey. And that moves the prophecy of the Force to the desert.
I think Paul's best hope is to just lock out all the damage. And that's a lot harder with Lars Form on table. If Lars Form wasn't there and he could just go stuff to every site and have like 3 or 4 reacts possible on table and just make it so that wherever Justin battles, he reacts something and then he just doesn't take any drain damage and he just like loses a trooper and then retrieves it and he could just kind of lock him out, that would be ideal. I think with the Lars Farm adding that 5th site, that becomes a lot harder.
Now, importantly, though, like, Paul does have troopers, and he can retrieve troopers as long as he is flipped.
And if there's a domination, that could add some retrieval as well.
Well, he'll have to win battles for that, which would mean more cards on table, like you said.
Well, right, but if Justin's battling and he's reacting to them, he could win some battles.
Yeah, but if he can keep things stable and basically be losing troopers to drains. I don't know how... I've not, unfortunately, seen if troopers have been lost to... when you got overflow. I don't think I saw any troopers go lost there.
No, I don't think so.
So Paul looks at 3 cards. Jedi Concentration from a turn earlier has gone to lost.
Yeah, 8 overflow turn 2 when it's already going to be a close one.
Yeah.
That was.
And I mean, Paul's doing okay. Steve isn't gonna have, the problem is here, of course, that Justin has 16 more force to activate next turn, 10 cards in hand, so he's gonna
come down with something and probably flip him back.
And he's got a couple more use pile pulls that he's not done with yet with Lando and Chewie.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's answers in his deck, he's gonna find them.
Yeah, we saw one.
I mean, that Odin combo didn't get grabbed, right? To the very least, you can just look for another Odin combo. Oh, except he did lose an Odin from reserve. Sorry. So unless he has 2.
Which he very well might, because it's good against ISB2 for warping around and stuff.
It's good against everything.
It's good against everything. It is.
Phenomenal card. And Dylan brings up a good point. If he makes him pay for drain, he can react to the drains, block a drain, and put some guys in front of him, which is good. But then that means they can't react again that turn. So if he comes at him with Chewie and another guy, that's a tough spot for Paul.
And now I think we're going to see Paul going into thinking mode. Trying to.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. He's been playing relatively slow up until now, or fast up until now.
Yeah. He has currently about a 9-minute deficit, 31 to 40. But I think now Paul's like, hey, I have 30 minutes and I need to figure out how to win this by 10 plus. And so we're going to see that slow down a little. The first couple turns are pretty automatic. So he... I don't understand that. Let's Justin see what the 2 cards in his reserve are. Paul had 3 in reserve.
He already knows what they are. He knows all but one,
he
right?
He had 3 in reserve. He peeked at all 3 and chose one. So he knew what the other 2 were. And then I guess he just forgot or something because he looked with the rest order and showed Justin what the 2 were. Must have just forgot or been thinking about a lot of stuff. And then it's like, what was that again? Was it a 4 or a 3? Like, oh.
Yeah.
My jump just died. Did yours?
Yeah, mine did too. So it's the server, not.
Oh no. Oh no.
Give it a second.
I hope the server didn't.
That would be. Oh no. Here we go. We're back.
Oh, okay.
Our GIMP is slowly coming back. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm back.
We should say something maybe in the chat and tell them to get out and watch us on Twitch.
Is there? Oh yeah, there's 20 players in there. Jeez. Yeah. Well, they could have set up the league like that. They didn't. That's all right. All right. So Vader and Tempest Scout 4 come down on top of Leia. They are going to be power 11 to her 4. So outpowering her by or 12 to 4 now that he battled because the Tatooine system added 1. Outpowering her by 8. She, of course, covers 8. So
not looking for an overflow here. Paul's best fingers crossed would be he only has to lose maybe the ATST and not.
Yeah, and Justin peels a couple if he draws low. Trades the ATST for Leia and some peeling. All right.
Yep. Yeah,
So
Cardshot brings up a good point also about firepower being blanked in this matchup. The fact that Paul isn't going to get any retrieval is pretty big.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. He would have got a ping retrieval last turn, for example, when the Ray came down.
That makes a really big difference here because a lot of the matchup with IE in mains in particular is positioning, right? So Paul wants to position himself so that there's not favorable battles, and then Justin positions try to reflip, which means he plays guys and doesn't battle, which means firepower retrieval. So that makes a big difference. I would not have blinked those shields to begin with. I guess the retrieval part I get what they blinked, but I think there might be some dangerous unintended consequences, especially to blink.
Yeah, I do think they should have just been mirrored. I hope they re-release them as a mirror and not an effect. No one's going to play them as an effect. Go just re-release them as defensive shields that are mirrors that only damage for 1, not 2, but just if they move away on your turn or they exclude someone, lose 1. It's done. You don't need to worry about decreeing it.
We do see Paul get through that battle, kill Leia,
So-
and cause point of overflow, blaster deflection.
He traded Tempest Scout 4 for Leia and 1, which re-enabled his Admiral's Order, and it took over that site, making it a lot harder for Justin to flip him back next turn.
Yeah.
I think he's...
Justin's going to need a good turn next turn. I mean, he has the pieces with 16 force and 9 cards in hand, but, Paul's doing a decent job kind of positioning himself here.
I don't like that move.
I don't like that either, because it reopens up the Luke drain of 2.
Right, and you can react to it, but here's what I would have done. Leave that one in front of Luke.
Yep.
Let him drain with Rey, and then react with that one all the way over, so he wastes 3.
Make him spin the 3
and then make him spin 3 with Luke, and react with Blizzard Scout 1 over in front of Luke. And then you sit with Tempest Scout 1 still available to react free with either one, wherever he battles. If he adds more guys to either one, you react with Tempest Scout 1 there. And if he just battles with it, you're like, all right, fine, I'll trade Barak for Rey, and not react so that I can save it for the Luke one or whatever. But make him spin 6 force, and you spend 2, basically the reacting force, and don't eat any damage. That's what I would have done. Is Rey drains, react with the one in front of Luke. Luke drains, react another one in front of him, and then still have 1 left for reacting to a battle. And we know Justin doesn't have Odin to stop that, because he just drew Odin for Battle Destiny after top decking the second one. So,
which is our second Odin that we've seen.
So
Justin could, if he feels like that Odin is really important, he could use his once per game search on do that again to shuffle up his deck, and then potentially pull it with a used pile if he has Chewie or Lando.
Yeah. And you can always play one from Lost with
solo
or something if he gets solo. But
if he feels like canceling the reacts.
Neither are super likely, though. I think that would have been a good play for Paul, is just force Justin to spend 6 force to do no damage.
Yep.
And limit his options a little.
And we also, again, don't see retrieval, because I believe that there are no troopers to retrieve unless I'm missing something. Yeah.
So he saves 2 for those reacts.
Saves 2. We see Justin put a card down with My Father Before Me, and then pop his Walkling to retrieve Leia. Obviously, he feels that Leia is important.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Lando and or Chewie came down and pulled that Leia, and then she came back down to suspend that Admiral's Order.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
That's why he's laying right now on, so that he can get her into used to pull her.
We see Ahsoka come down versus Vader.
I was anticipating Lando at Mos Espa and then pulling Leia and Leia going down, but I guess with the reacts,
you'll have that sequence too. There's Lando at the heart. Now, if you're Paul and one of those 2 cards is Trample, you might go for it here.
Yeah, and if you're Justin, and you see the perimeter scanner use power right here, you're like, oh.
Yeah, because you
want that Leia to stop that Admiral's Order and to retrieve when you battle.
If he drops Leia here, Leia flips him, right? So if he has Trample for Lando, he can stop the flip back. But if he doesn't. So there's Leia, that flips him, suspends the Admiral's Orders, flips him back.
And now what are your moves?
Perhaps, let's see, Lando can't move. And you need to save a first for Lando. So at most you have 2 moves. I would also think by now that Justin's found a Hujix. So it is possible that Justin's just honestly content with his board position and just is going to make Paul have to battle into a bunch of stuff. Lando could just go to... So instead we see Ahsoka move over to the desert to support Lando. And we see Luke go to support Leia.
Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Not sure I like that consolidation, because it gives Paul a chance to flip back next turn.
Pretty easy flip back, right?
Easy flip back. You battle Rey, you trade Rey for Barak, and then you move over the Tempest Scout, and you're at control 3 They control less than
Yep.
3. You flip back. You get a very easy flip. I think if he should have left, or since he was going to spin the 1 to move anyway, put Leia down at the docking bay with Luke, and then move Luke over in front. And that way, you're not just sitting with Leia in front. You have Luke in front of him, but then you've got Leia sitting at the docking bay right now. It would be a lot harder to for Paul to flip back.
Right. And that Luke in front of the Blizzard Scout 1 is certainly stout enough to stand up to it.
Right, unless a Blizzard 2 came down and canceled his text or whatever, but fine, that's another card deployed for Paul, and that's if that happens, it happens. But I would have liked that better than consolidating them and giving the easy flip back.
It's an interesting board situation because Justin's not getting in any damage. So even though he's only a few cards away from winning the match, he still needs to get damage in somewhere.
Yeah.
But conversely, Paul can't really draw and find too many more cards because if he does, then he'll be less than 10 and then Justin gets to draw up.
Yep.
So it is kind of a tough spot for, I think, both players, obviously favoring Justin.
Mm-hmm.
But Paul's going to have to kind of keep playing this like game of moving around, whereas Justin has a lot more flexibility and time to find the pieces he needs. Again, something like Justin can line up Chewie plus perimeter scan, that's going to be very powerful for him.
Right. We know he used the land use power pull on Leia.
Right.
So he didn't get to draw any.
Right.
Because he moved.
But we don't know. Yeah. He still has 6. So.
Yeah.
He has time to find answers as long as he keeps them full. So we see
a second Tarkin's
Bounty.
Bounty. That's not a card I would think you'd play 2 of.
No. I've played 2 force pushes in like the ISB 1000 list a couple months ago when it was just like, I will win if I get Gideon and Tarkin on turn 2.
Uh-huh.
You really have essential pieces.
ISB could put a lot less on table than Entanglements has to. And it would retrieve a lot more because it had domination constantly going. The reason why I guess I can see playing 2 of these plus a force push that we did see earlier is if you are just very dependent on that air attack. But at that point, rather than the second Tarkin's Bounty, I might consider just a surface defense because that can pull air attack, it can pull your something special, it can pull your justice, and just do one Tarkin's Bounty, 1 force push, and 1 surface D. Yeah.
I don't know. It's still... If you're that reliant on Airtech Corporation, I might rethink about what you're doing, partially with the deck build. If you need 2 Tarkin's Bounties for it.
So Paul's debating. He's at 16 hand and life right now.
Yep.
Justin is at 29 hand and life. So Justin is up by 13.
Yep.
Greg says maybe he's concerned with Leia Rebel Princess. Not in this deck, obviously. We've seen General Leia, but in general, in deck building, concerned with her canceling drains. So he wanted 2 of those. But, I mean, even if she cancels 2 drains of 1, like, whatever.
Yeah, I find it unusual to play multiples of those unique force pile pulls. And if I were to play multiple, I probably would not be playing... I would not be playing 2 Tarkin's Bounties.
So it depends on the deck. In this deck, I would. Normally, I would say 2 force push is better because getting the 2 cards back gives you that extra force and is better early on. The thing is, Entanglements almost always wants to play all its cards. It rarely has cards it wants to swap back. So Tarkin's Bounty becomes better there. And then the other thing is you can lose the Tarkin's Bounty, like in a battle, and then play the second one again and get another force pile pull, whereas force push you can't. So in this deck, I would...
for 1 second while I respond to a work email, so... the dangers of broadcasting in the middle of the day.
So Dark Battles here, it's going to kill Rey. It's going to trade Rey for Bark. There is no immunity on Tempest Scout 3, and Light draws a 6 anyway, so... Light is going to outpower by 1, which means Dark has to stack a card on Conflict, which is huge right now when Paul is trying to keep his differential up. That just 1 extra ping damage adds up. So drawing that 6 was big for Justin. It also means Bark, which is forfeit 5 with the rest order, will not cover. So he has to lose both Bark and the Tempest Scout for Rey. Whereas if Justin draws a 5 or less, he doesn't have to stack 1, and he keeps a Tempest Scout there. So Yeah, Justin says in the chat, nice. So he's happy about drawing that 6, causing the ATSD and one ping. Tartag says, but it is the best card in Star Wars CCG. I don't know which card he's talking about. What were we talking about at the time he typed that? Tarkin's Bounty, maybe? Oh, yeah. Look, it says original concept by Dan Tartaglione. Awesome. I did not know you made that.
Yeah, that was a really, really tough turn for Paul.
It is a good card, Dan. Well designed. Yeah, that was not great. Sure. Just drawing the 6. I mean, he wanted to kill that Ray so he can get flipped back. Because like we talked about, the easy flip back is you kill Ray, you trade Ray for Bark, and then you just move over Tempest Scout and you flip.
What I think he needs to do now is shuttle Ozzel. I wonder if he's
just say, hey, you've got no space. I'm moving Ozzel down.
I'm going to lose anyways, so if he shuttles Ozzel, he can flip back.
Eric asks, is it the best card in Star Wars? It's the most Dan designed card in Star Wars, so.
Well, I just like how Eric is asking about the best player created card in Star Wars, seeing as his card is,
What's Eric's card? I don't know how you guys remember all this stuff. My memory is so bad. I couldn't even remember the name of Utani earlier.
His name in chat is Walkling.
Oh, Walkling. Right. Well, that card lasted a long time till they just neutered it.
Yeah, it's still really good. Any non-throne room deck is still starting it.
Oh yeah. Of course. It's a very good.
Still arguably the best card in the game.
The funny thing is, it wasn't Otoitoi who said that in the chat. It was literally Walkling said that, and I was like, wait, what's his card?
So we see Vader move over to the
Lars farm because it's a drain 1 more there.
We see that move over.
That seems like a waste of force, but I guess he doesn't really want to draw. He has 9 in force pile. He wants to use force to get it into reserve, and he's not going to be drawing it. So
1 go over to the docking base.
And that flips back. I would go ahead and he does. He sends down Ozzel to put on board Blizzard 4. All right, so Paul is at 15 hand and life. Justin is at 29. And Justin will drain, and we'll see if there will be a react to stop that. Gideon gets out, so that would not surprise me for Gideon to stay there and like Blizzard Scout 1 to react over, and then leaving Tempest Scout to react with Gideon staying there to keep flipped.
And we do see the retrieval here, and if there is a trooper and lost.
Barak will come back. All right. So Paul's stabilizing a little, but of course Justin has the initiative right now.
Yeah, I think this is the big turn for Justin, because if he has something that he can come down and really beat down either one of the Vader, cancel react maybe.
Tartag says you can't play Walkling in Throne Room, and Greg Shaw says you can't play Tarkin's Bounty in it either. Taco Bill says we're forgetting the clear best player card, which Eric guesses is Punishing One. It's clearly one of Taco's cards. Always two there are.
Taco, you made
Here's my question. What were all of these tournaments that Taco Bill won to get like 18 V card designs? Because he's got so many of them. How does Taco have so many more V card designs than anyone in the game? There's multiple world champions, and Taco's like, nah, I got more than that.
And we do see a fortune of 2 from Justin.
We don't see a reactor response.
So I don't like
Paul
that.
is now at 10 life. Which I think if he draws up, I mean, he's not going to draw up, it doesn't matter, but I believe on lost pile totals,
it favors Justin pretty handily from game 1.
Yeah.
But we saw him lose Executor and Barrack.
so obviously Barrack is something he can just retrieve again next turn.
Mm-hmm. Dylan wants a Figure and Dan virtual musical card. Yeah, so
Figure and Dan was one of my favorite cards when I
Figure and Dan Tartaglione V. I think Dan should design that as his next card. Everyone should have cards designed for their namesake, or like how the Taco Bill has Kin Kian or whatever his name is. It looks like Taco
Drew
Bill.
Their Fire.
I don't understand how we have a virtual Call Aldred when we have a player in our community whose name is Call Aldred? His actual name is Call him Aldred, and he goes by Cal. Like, we have someone named an actual Star Wars card, and he didn't get to design the V card. Like, that's a shame.
Muting again with our chat.
He needs to get another. All right, so Hera comes down. She with Leia still suspending battle deployment and no justice on table, and no general available for command. We are going to see 3 battle destinies there. We'll probably see some reacts. Solo's going to battle first, I imagine, and say, hey, do you want to react with this? Then you can't react to the desert. And if you react that, if you don't react, I'll just trade Solo for Arnett. That's okay. He might even... Could he have something tracked? No. Not with 8. So he battles at the desert first. I would have thought he would battle with Solo first. Battles at the desert. And Tempest Scout 1 comes over. If... Yeah, I don't see how he flips him back this turn.
No, but he can clear
Oh,
off
he's
this...
going to use Solo to Odin combo that react. Now the question is, do you react over Blizzard Scout 1? Now maybe he can flip him back. He'll have 2 to 2. Nah, he still won't flip him back. He'd have to clear that whole site.
Going for... I think Justin's going for overflow to end the game.
You think even on top of the Blizzard Scout 1?
Why
Why wouldn't Blizzard Scout 1 react here? So he's using Sneak Attack Virtual to...
Sneak Attack Virtual is a just action, right? So you can
It is,
react.
so he can still react. He can place a card on
maybe
top.
not.
So I'm imagining he's sneak attacking so he can get a guaranteed trample on Lando or Hera.
Perimeter scans.
But-
But he's getting 3 destinies. He gets to redraw 1. Paul's is -1. Power's even to start with. I guess not. Yeah, he's not going to be able to do it.
There's a trample. Justin grabs a sneak attack.
And there's perimeter
He
scan.
perimeter scans a trample. So that's 2 more lost cards for Paul. Both the sneak attack essentially being a lost card and the
I think
trample.
we might just see lethal damage here from an overflow.
Even if there's not overflow, just the fact that he lost another one to sneak, he drained for 2. He lost another one to the sneak attack. He lost the trample. He's gonna more board position's gonna be cleared because obviously he's gonna crack Ozzel 6, so he's gonna clear both of those.
At one point out, he gets to transit, so you can transit either Leia or Luke in front of Vader, and then just flip him back that way. But
See 3 for Destiny support.
it's gonna be close on whether he gets overflow. We see 5, and he gets another card stacked, and I feel the conflict.
Yeah.
So that puts Paul at exactly.
And Paul's at 1 card in hand because he had 3. He used sneak attack and trample were 2 of the 3 cards in his hand. So yeah, he redraws the 1 with Hera, and so he gets a total battle destiny at 13. So it's now 28 to 9. Dark draws the 5 that he had stacked. Oh, he had 4 in hand because he also used that with sneak attack. So he draws a 5.
4,
so that is
15.
right, -1 with Ahsoka. So difference of 15 also covers 6, and that covers 5. That's 11. So it's both of them and 4.
Plus a card he has to stack.
Plus a card to
that's
stack. Yeah, that will be game. Right now, Paul is at
Even if he
12.
gets, he's still
Paul's
not
at
down.
12 hand and life. Even if he gets, oh no, and he stacks the 1 from hand to conflict. So now he'll lose both them and 4. He's at 11, so he'll be at 7 total in life force, and he lost game 1 by 10. So and I mean at this point, besides that whole thing of the match being over, I don't think he can win this game. Justin is at 3 in hand, but he's at 23 in life force to Paul's 7.
Right. And he gets to flip him back this turn. He moves Luke in front of Vader, so he's flipped back. So
if he transits Solo to the docking bay and then moves Luke over, he flips him back. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at that wrong. Yeah, transit Solo. So he moves one person over and then transits.
I think he's fine just eating the drain for a turn and not getting that risk. Like, he'd have to transit Solo in front of them and their power 7. I guess with only 7 life force, there's nothing Paul could do. If he still had the 1 in hand and you're like, oh, Mara comes down and clears Solo in 10 or whatever. But yeah, there's...
The way Justin's drawing, he might just draw high enough that Solo wins that battle. So.
So he's going to eat 6 here, though. Drain of 2/1/1. and 2 occupation. Paul might just draw up. He might just say over. I don't know.
But he's guaranteed to.
7 actually. It's 3 occupation and 1/2/1. So he'll do 7.
I mean, Paul can stop him from drawing up because there's something special planned for them. He could pitch that, retrieve
right,
the
but
executor.
he doesn't have retrieval. He could retrieve executor. He could retrieve with his objective, but he just
Might as well fight it out. Made it this far. See if he's anything left he can do. But
yeah, Paul had a really good run. He was, starting in February, I think he had like 3 11-1 months or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Which is absurd. They're very hard to do, and his overall OCS record this season was just incredible. It might have been the best
impressive run by Paul for sure
across the 3 seasons. But yeah, he played incredible. He made it. Won his round of 16, 8-4, made it all the way here. So he had a fantastic, phenomenal run. But of course, Justin Desai is one of the top players ever. Certainly in the top 5, if not the top 3, or and yeah, in conversation is one of the best ever. And so I think like I mentioned in the last game, Team KTOD designed the new Yoda in V13, and that's because of Justin's win in the first OCS. So now this will be his next one. I think Bastion won last year.
Bastion did win last year.
So I think it went Justin, Bastion, Justin. So they're players that are clearly incredible both in person and online. It's fun to watch them. All right, so Paul gets Gideon on to the Tempest Scout 1 and moves it over in front of Luke, and then moves Vader over. But Justin's still, of course, going to get to drain 2 at the Desert Heart.
Yep.
He'll battle, get to retrieve with Leia. Yeah.
Well, both retrieve with Leia, and probably in both of these battles, he'll be able to stack cards with, I feel, the conflict. He's moving the Scout in front of the Heart, which then Justin can now drain for 2 at the other site. Unless he wants to move in front of that too.
So, to the drain, he reacts. Justin opts not to drain with Luke, I guess, because there could just be another react. And then you're not...
drops Corrin to flip him back. Should have a pretty easy battle. Good.
Does he have a Destiny track? Why put Corrin there instead of just put him to the Lars farm? That also flips him back.
It does also flip back.
Because then you'd control 2 to Vader's 1. So, Paul says, too bad I didn't activate Justice on turn 2. Would have force pushed for it over Aratech.
I don't know if Justice would have really... I guess Justice stops Skywalker.
It was the overflow, from that battle. Hindsight, though, maybe he...
Paul says he's playing 2 Justices. I'm perhaps surprised to see that, since we've seen almost every card in his deck at this point and haven't seen Justice Paul. So, maybe I missed it when it got lost, but I haven't seen Justice from Paul. So.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Justin Desai is our 2020 OCS winner.
Congratulations, Justin.
Congratulations to Justin.
And congrats, Paul, for the great run. Thanks for streaming with me, Drew. Thanks everyone in chat for commenting on everything.
And enjoy a good month of Star Wars ahead of us. A lot of good competitive play leading up.
V13 came out yesterday. Private games are enabled on GIMP, so if you want to play just with your friends without anyone scouting, you can do that. And Worlds is in 3 or 4 weeks. We have
And there's also a 12-game mini OCS league kind of going on.
there is. Did that start today?
It started today. Started last night, I think.
Okay.
Yep. So you can get
I would
it.
imagine just like in the regular OCS, when the month starts, there's a little window right at the beginning if you still want to sign up. So if you're listening to this, there is essentially a 1 month OCS style event. It's 12 games this month, 6 light, 6 dark. Competitive games. It's called the Road to Worlds. It was like $5, I think, to sign up for, and that will be going on the next month. So if you want some competitive games, there's I think 50-ish people who signed up.
Yeah, about 45 already.
If you haven't, it started last night, but I doubt really any games have been played. Maybe a couple, but and so go on the forums.
Okay.
Go in the World sub forum. Look for that Road to Worlds. Go sign up for that for $5. You can play a bunch of competitive games this month. There's also a 1-day tournament being run on a Saturday coming up.
Saturday, November 21st.
Saturday, November 21st. There's a 1-day 6-game tournament being played. I'm not sure if I will play in that because I will need to take off Worlds weekend and the following weekend to either play and or commentate. But
we'll make it with World coming up. But for anyone who wants to get kind of a good practice in and a $10 entry, we'll split up cash between top 1 and 2. We'll have special foils for everyone who participates.
Yeah.
So obviously, yeah.
So we got a lot of exciting stuff going on with the new set, new private tables, the Road to Worlds event, the 1-day tournament, and then of course Worlds. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up in the next month and a half. So hope you guys enjoyed this and are hyped for lots more Star Wars. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.